I covered it on another video last week, but I did want to just get your thoughts on the Aaron Jones contract situation. If you don't know, for those who are listening or watching, he is up at the end of this year. This is the 4th year of his deal. He was drafted in the 5th round, so there's no 5th round. There's no 5th year option, I should say, for guys who aren't drafted in the 1st round. And he's up for a contract extension at the end of this year. And recently, as of like last week, he fired the agent that he's had since he came into the league, and hired Drew Rosenhaus, who is notoriously famous for asking for a lot of money for his clients and getting his clients paid a ton of money. I know there hasn't been a lot of talks between Aaron Jones and the Packers and his agent. And so I think he kind of is sending a message to the Packers and to the league, like, this is how I see my value. I see myself as somebody who's worth getting paid a lot of money, and I'm going to go out and get an agent who's famous or known for getting his guys a lot of money. So that begs the question, do you think Aaron Jones is going to sign with the Green Bay Packers next year and be on this team in 2021? Or do you feel like he is going to price himself out of Lambeau?
I really want him to resign, but I don't think he will, just specifically because of how much money he's going to ask for, and like, we can't do that. But I personally do think that we should spend the money on him. Like, you don't need to pay him like $100 million. Obviously, running backs don't go that high. But just in general, you don't need to necessarily pay him the top tier, top end, like, money that the running backs get, because he's not the best running back in the NFL, but he definitely has, like, higher value than other people on our team. So
let me ask you then, though, because you just said that, where would you rank him?
Probably 5.
You think he's like a top 5 guy? Can you give me your top 5 then, like, just off the top of your head?
Okay, well, I definitely have to go with Derrick Henry and Dalvin Cook, and then if Christian McCaffrey was playing, he would definitely be in there. And then, there's a lot of people that could be around, like, the edge on, like, 5. Like, you got to go, like, there's Aaron Jones, and then there's, like, Josh Jacobs, and, like, players like that. So, like, it could be anywhere. You could place him really anywhere, depending on, like, who you kind of think has a little bit more skill.
Your flavor, like, really. Like, kind of what's your flavor type of shit.
He could be anywhere. At the earliest, he could be 4, and then I could see people putting him at, like, 7.
Yeah.
So I think he's definitely in the top 10. Personally, I put him at 5.
Yeah, I mean, because you didn't even say Kamara, because I think Kamara, honestly, is better than Cook.
Oh, I mean, I don't think he's better, but I think they're right there. Like, I don't even want to say that they're even, though. I just feel like Kamara's more of, like, an all-around player. Like, he can run, and then he can also be like a receiver, which is great.
Yeah.
But if I like,
you're talking like just pure, because Cook does that too, though. Cook kind of, to me, that's what I'm saying. Like, Cook to me is like a not as, I don't know, it's kind of crazy, not as good, but to me, like, Kamara and Christian McCaffrey are on the same level as far as guys who can be receivers and running backs. Like, Christian McCaffrey can run between the tackles, and he can run outside, and he's tough. He's like a physical runner, but he can also, like, fucking lead the league in, like, receiving. Like, if he wanted to.
That's kind of how it is with, like, like Kareem Hunt. Like, Nick Chubb is, like, the main running back for the Browns. But, like, Kareem Hunt is a great running back and a great, like, wideout running back. You know, like, he can receive, too. And, like, there's Nick Chubb that is just purely just, like, runs.
Running the ball,
like, if Nick Chubb's catching anything, it's out of the backfield. Like, it's – so there's a bunch of players. Like, Aaron Jones is one of those all-around players, which is why I feel like I could put him in the top 5.
Yeah.
I just think – I want him to get re-signed. I really do think he deserves it. And for me, the way that I look at it as is, the Packers are not rebuilding yet. So
no,
for you to
move
on, for you to move on to someone that's so talented and has so many skills, like the only thing that really Aaron Jones needs to work on is his like blocking skills when other teams decide to blitz. He struggles with that sometimes.
Yeah.
But like
he's gotten better though this year. He's gotten better though.
Yeah, exactly. He's way better this year than he was last year. Like, his stock for everything just keeps going up.
Yeah.
So, like, if we're not rebuilding yet, if we're not looking for draft picks, if we're not looking for all this stuff, like, you know, I feel like you need to re-sign him. You need to find that money, maybe restructure some contracts, maybe, you know, like, you need to find that money to re-sign him because we need the strong people on our team. We can't just keep saying, oh, we've had him for 4 years, he's really good, like, maybe we'll just happen to draft somebody else, or maybe in a couple of years A.J. Dillon will just be another Aaron Jones, but by the time he's another Aaron Jones, like...
You'll have to find another A.J. Dillon.
Right, exactly, that's what I'm saying. So, when you're not rebuilding and you're not, you're not worrying about, like, oh, I hope we're good next year, like, because we suck this year, then you need to take those talented players and you need to re-sign them. So I think the Packers should do whatever it takes to get Aaron Jones to stay with them for next year and beyond.
You know, I agree with you, Savannah, but I think just based on the Packers' history, I mean, I can't even remember like the last time they really spent a lot of money on that position. You know, they're very frugal. And Eddie Lacy, we never got a chance to see because unfortunately he just sort of escorted himself out of the NFL.
Right.
But, and I really do. I mean, I was actually thumping hard all freaking offseason, like on Twitter and saying Aaron Jones to me is one of the best running backs. And I even went as crazy as to say I felt like he was just as good as a Christian McCaffrey. But the thing I feel like really hurts Aaron Jones is this system that he's in. All those other guys, with the exception, like you said, now of Chubb, but even still, they run the ball so damn much. Chubb and Hunt are going to like both have 1,000 yards rushing. You know what I'm saying? Like that's how talented both of those guys are. And I want to say Cleveland is the number one rushing team in the league. So it's like
I think that's the Ravens.
You still think it's still the Ravens?
Might be up there.
Yeah. So I mean, they've got to be. I mean, if you got two guys who are almost at 1,000 yards rushing, you've got to be in the top 5 for sure, or maybe even the top 3. So it's like he's like Chubb is able to like still have his thing. Like Jones is the one who really kind of gets split the most. His carries and his touches, and it's not really the focal point of the offense to have him running the ball and be when he was last year. You saw he had 19 total touchdowns, which was like tied for the best in the league, and he had over like 1,400 total yards from scrimmage. He had some passing yards, and you saw the offense was able to function really well even while missing Devontae Adams last year. So it's like. I think he can really be that guy. Unfortunately, I think he is going to price himself out of Green Bay. And I don't even know. The thing is, like, I don't even know how much Green Bay wants to pay him. Because right now, the tag in general is kind of high. I don't know if the Packers are like. I don't know if the Packers are going to want to pay him $20 million or 19 or 16 even. You know, which is what those guys are getting.
No, I feel like that's way too much money.
Yeah.
I think that's way too much money, but I don't even think he should be asking for that. Like, that type of stuff is for literally, like, people, Derrick Henry, Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey, Dalvin Cook, the very top players in the league. And then you say, okay, I'm not there, but, like, I'm almost there. So if they're getting this amount of money, then I need to scale it back a little bit and ask for this amount of money.
I mean, you say that because we say that, but, I mean, you have to ask for the most. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have to shoot for the stars. Maybe shoot for the freaking Mars. And maybe you land up on the moon or something. Okay, but... So, yeah, Kamara signs a 5-year, $75 million contract, including $15 million signing bonus, $33 million guaranteed, with an average salary of $15 million a year. So that's
so
Kamara. I think he was the most
if we
recent guy to sign. I think Kamara was.
So I feel like if we could get him like 10 million a year, like
10 and a
I'd
half.
be cool with it.
Yeah, 10 and a half maybe.
Yeah, he's gonna ask for 15 a year, and we're not gonna be able to do that.
Yeah, but no one might want to do it. Like you said, maybe he puts it, say, look, but I think this is Jones. I think Jones is going to say, like, if you look at what I've done and then you compare it to these other guys who have more, like even Christian McCaffrey, and that's why I was like kind of going crazy this offseason when I was like, man, if you look at Christian McCaffrey and Aaron Jones' numbers, they both had 19 total touchdowns last year. Okay? But if you look at McCaffrey had way more receiving yards. I want to say he had like 1,000 yards receiving. I think last year McCaffrey had like 1,000 yards receiving, and and so, but if you look at their touches, I added it up and I've basically worked it out, and Jones had 170 less total touches, and that's like combined with like targets in the passing game and like carries in the running game than Christian McCaffrey. 170 less.
Yeah, that's a lot.
And he was able to still produce 19 touchdowns. I mean, just imagine, what, even if like maybe the yards and the reception numbers wouldn't have been as crazy. To me, at the end of the day, it's about touchdowns. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, he could have fucking maybe had 25, 26 touchdowns on the year. I mean, he would have been in like LaDainian Tomlinson all-time territory for touchdowns on a season. So, I mean, I think he's going to really probably like his negotiating tactic is going to be like, look at my usage, and still I'm able to be in the category with these guys. And I still, when I get an opportunity, I put the ball in the end zone.
Which is why I think that the Packers should do whatever they can
to try to retain him.
Obviously, he's gonna ask for a lot of money, and I do think it's a lot of money. But like in general, I think the Packers need to do whatever they can to re-sign him, because if we want to stay this strong team, like Jamal Williams is a good running back.
Yeah.
Obviously, we don't really know much about A.J. Dillon.
Yeah.
But just in general, like Aaron Jones is a really good running back.
Yeah.
He's a very good all-around running back.
Yeah.
So it's just like I think the Packers need to do whatever they can to re-sign him, because they can't just let him go and just assume that their next draft pick is going to be a great Aaron Jones.
Yeah, within reason, of course. Like we both said, do whatever you can within reason. So you thinking maybe like 10 and a half? I'll say 10 and a half, and maybe a nice little juicy signing bonus, and maybe Rodgers can restructure somewhere in there. But then honestly, I think even Devontae Adams is going to be up for another deal, like in another year.
I think he still has 2 more years.
2 more years. So it's like you're going to have to pay that guy again. I mean, we'll see. Maybe he's 27 right now. He'll be 29. We all know how the Packers are about receivers over 30, or like in that 30 range. So it's like he might just be 29, might get him signed. And then of course if he's still just playing at an all-pro level. I agree with you though. Just to wrap up the Aaron Jones conversation, I agree with you. I think they should try, but I feel like he's gonna probably maybe ask for like 13 million, or maybe he's gonna ask for like 12 million, and the Packers gonna say like, that's too much. That's 2 million too much, and they're gonna let him walk, and they're gonna say we're gonna roll with Williams, who we really like. He's very versatile. And we got this Dillon kid that, we hoping he's not the same game breaker as Aaron Jones, but he's physical, he's fast. He actually compared really well and like all across the board with his numbers and his metrics and his measurables to a Derrick Henry, honestly, coming out of Alabama, except for his height. But everything else, the shuttle, the 3-cone, the quickness, the 40 time, the bench press, body fat, all that stuff, the weight, He's basically like a shorter Derrick Henry. We'll have to keep a close eye on that. I think all Packers fans all around the world, whether you agree with it or not, will still be sad to see him go. So
100%.
Yeah. So